My Matthew McConaughey kicked in there. All right, all right, all right. So interesting. Seconds ago, we were talking about how often when we're planning on talking about something, it's as though the universe conspires with us.
I
It's
know.
like, want to talk about unresolved trauma? We're going to serve you a cup of that just to see where you're at,
That's right.
right? Like, where are you today?
Mm.
And I really enjoy the research part of um, the podcasting because I have my own, what was my life like, and my own beliefs, my own knowledge, which is so limited. And then the information that's on the internet is vast. And then I add you, and we've got this neat little sandwich, right? Just a neat little sandwich. Because when I looked at the impact of unresolved trauma, that's where I was blown away. Relationships, difficulty trusting others, maintaining healthy boundaries, or forming close connections. Oh, it was like my eyes welled up with tears because I'm like, oh my gosh. So I sat with it to discover where it started. Wow. I'm like, when didn't it start? And it's interesting. It's just interesting. I don't judge my own experiences, I acknowledge them. And I think that that's a big part in being able to transform.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Uh, just checking the sound. Are you getting some strange sound at your end?
Not on my end.
Okay. Well, I'll just ignore it. Um, yeah, the ability to witness
Yeah.
instead of being hooked by or trapped in. Um, that's the beginning of our awareness and our remembering who we really are. We're not that thing. We're not the personality, the stories, the conditioning. We're the witness of it, and that has been helpful, very helpful for me. It's very powerful. Um, I
See?
am not my pain. I'm experiencing my pain, but it's not who I am. Right? Yeah.
Oh, it's like sitting on the witness stand in court
Mhm.
without judging, simply sitting on the witness stand, listening to the judge, the jury, all of the characters in the story of who I am.
In this moment.
Yeah, I'm not that little girl that was bullied. I'm not that employee that was trapped in a situation that I saw. I am no longer that.
Well, but that's that again. Where's my reference? Right? Is my reference this? This body, this uh, you know organic suit that I'm wearing, or is my reference the witness of this? So that's helpful for me. And the whole system, which I this is where I love the biology part and the evolution part. The whole system that we live in, right, is this ever creative, you know, universe that's constantly creating, constantly evolving, self-correcting, and we're never the same in any moment because we're always we're literally changing molecules from during the day a bunch of times. Every time I drink water, I just took a bunch of new molecules in, right? When I release them, okay, now there's room for more. So we're changing all the time.
Yeah.
What's not changing is the witnesser of it. That's the thing that's not changing.
Yes, and the witness is no longer in a, well, that has never been in a situation of bias. It simply observes.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. To keep remembering, for me, it's like, thank goodness I have a meditation practice. And I hang around people like you because it reminds me, where's my reference point in this moment? Right.
Yeah.
Where's my reference point? Is it in the freak out that just happened? Right. And the cause of it and then how I'm all mixed up in it? Or is it just, the part that's observing the play, that this beautiful play of life?
Because we freak out and we blame. Oh my God, I just got a phone call. It was the phone call that made me angry.
Yeah, nothing can make you. It's, let's take responsibility there. But how much healing did I have to go through to get there? You
Oh,
can't make me. I'm reacting. I'm taking responsibility for how I'm how I'm reacting. Yeah.
so very, very true. I've learned to use the mute button on my phone when I am conversing with a difficult situation,
I love that.
because then you can't hear the huff, puff, and growl. Right? Because we do. We're digesting that feeling that is evoked through the conversation, because there's something that has been unresolved. It's just like a bank balance. Haven't had not everything's adding up right now. So what can I do to understand, evaluate, and change? You said before meditation. That is such a valuable tool in my everyday practice. People will say to me, "Do you still teach yoga?" And I'm like, "Well, the physical practice, I will help you raise your arms, reach forward, reach backwards. I will use movement
Mhm.
and breath. I will have you focus your drishti where you're looking, and breath. So for me, it's a lot of breath work, a lot of meditation. Journaling is a beautiful opportunity to mark down, I am here. This is my today.
Mhm.
It's just so amazing. What else do you recommend for people to work through their unresolved trauma?
Well, I love Dr. Gabor Mate's the kind of his perspective, or his definition really of trauma, because it helped me. And then there was another gentleman whose name I've escapes me, but another doctor in the trauma field. And this was what they brought in that really encapsulated the situation for me. Dr. Bruce something. His Dr. Bormate teaches trauma is not what happens to you; it's what happens inside of you because of what happens to you, and it's because you're alone with the hurt. And the other piece is, so what does that mean? That means that we get disconnected from our authentic self because we're defending our territory, and it's just a different orientation. We're defending, and we've lost that ability to witness what we were talking about, that we can find in meditation, and the healing journey takes us back there. And the other piece of this is that there's a hierarchy to healing. First, we have to find safety again, because in trauma we're traumatized in relationship, and we have to find we heal in safe relationships. So we need to find safety again. Now I can breathe, right? And we need to feel a sense of belonging. Oh, now I have a safe place with you. Now we can learn. So safety, sense of belonging, then we can learn. That is kind of the hierarchy, the path back into healing. So whatever tools help us achieve that, bring them, whatever they are.
I love that. I love that, because for me, I feel safe when I have a blanket.
Mhm.
When I have a shawl over my shoulders,
Mm.
I feel safe when I'm in water. I feel safe when I'm in grass.
Mhm.
Nature is very, very helpful to me. And the people who I have in my life, I have many people who I am blessed to be transparent with.
Mhm.
That took time. I had to rebuild my entire
Mhm.
social structure.
We have to learn to trust again.
Mhm.
And this is where I teach on a platform, the Post Betrayal Transformation Institute, which is Dr. Debbie Silver's platform that um, is dedicated to helping people heal from betrayal. And I'm a betrayal recovery coach, and I teach on there on Fridays, and I'm a coach there. But I do trauma informed yoga, and so what's our big issue there? Our big issue in that space is trust, which is kind of like trauma generally is like, now I can't trust the thing, whatever the thing is, right? And you know what's beautiful about the breath work is
What?
we learn to trust, right? When we exhale, we're trusting that there's going to be a breath the next time,
Yes.
right? So we inhale what we need and we exhale that which we no longer need. We receive, we release, and in order to receive again, we have to learn to release. So isn't that a sweet,
So sweet.
physical practice to help you release that which no longer serving you on all levels, right? And learning to trust that you'll be able to receive again.
Yeah.
So I start with the breath because we learn to trust life. We learn to trust ourselves. I'm going to take another breath. Like we learn to trust ourselves. We learn to trust the universe that it's going to have that life force for us. And that's where we start at the level of the nervous system.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. That's so powerful. It truly is. And when we begin to understand our breath as well, are you breathing into your chest?
There you
Are
go.
you breathing into your belly?
Yeah.
Are you breathing into your ribs? I remember when I took breath work teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I studied for 2 years the breath work. And most recently, when I was at my osteopath, who was helping me with some trapped pain, and he
Mm-hmm.
asked me about my breathing, and I'm like, I breathe. And he's like, take a breath. So I'm like, and he's like, and I'm like, he's like, okay, where did you breathe from? I'm like, my chest. And I'm like, the other option was my belly. And he's like, okay, put your hands right below your bra line on your ribs. Breathe from there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my God, I forgot all about that. I trained for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
trauma
love it.
brought me back into
That's right. Yeah,
right, that treading water feeling, like when you're treading water and you don't know, like you're holding your head up like here. That's where I was breathing.
I get it. And I had a pattern that was a permutation on that one, as I lived for many, many years with a lot of pain in my back. And then I thank God I had help healing that, and I released it. But you know what? I remember asking one of my yoga teachers one day, I don't even know what the question was, but his answer was, "Oh, I don't think your back's gotten the message yet." And I'm like, "What?" And he said, "Breathe into your back." Right. So breathe, yes, breathe into the belly. But I kept hearing teachers say, breathe into the belly. And I'm thinking ahead of me. I'm not thinking behind me. And that old pattern of holding my muscles, I'm restricting half my lungs because
Oh,
I'm not
exactly.
allowing the ribs to expand in the back body. Right.
And
So,
then depending upon where your pain is, because
yes.
yesterday I went for a beautiful treatment. It was a combination of acupuncture, um, sound bath healing, and cupping. So when she did the cupping, and I've got a high pain threshold. I birthed 3 children. My first son, when I birthed him, 52 stitches and 10 staples. I mean, my pain threshold is like that all you got? So she started doing the cupping and she was moving the cups back and forth. There's a part and I'm like, okay, that's intense. Like that is really, really intense. Would you like me to stop? I'm like, no, I need to tell you it's intense so that I can begin to have a conversation with you so that I know I can ask for you to stop. And she was explaining how the fascia was in my body. And the fascia, the way that I was able to understand it, was like on the outside of a chicken breast or the outside of a gizzard, that thin layer that holds us together. And mine was tight.
Mhm.
It felt so much better. I slept wonderfully. I woke with a softness in my body. I'm able to actually roll my shoulders back. I was not able to do that. I was like this,
Mm.
pulled forward. Now I can pull back. So when I'm doing simple seated positions, I love doing cat cow. When I'm sitting in front of a computer, I just kind of stretch back. Oh, what a deep breath I can take when I expand. And then when I contract and I pull it all in, pull it all in, pull it all in, pull it all in. And then, oh, it's such a beautiful way of practicing and opening and releasing throughout the day. And then acknowledging, uh-oh, what's that? That's interesting. That was a thought that came from before. Now is the opportunity. Now, right now. So pretty.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That ability to be present has been um, that's just exponentially rocketed my healing into the stratosphere. And it take a lot of discipline. I had decades and decades of really missing the present moment, so worried about the past or trying to project what's going to happen in the future, and trained as a scientist. So that's all we do. And in the mind, right? Not referencing the body, right? So, so not just present, but somatically present as well, right? Actually embody, and then they call it embodied presence. That just, and I still, of course, practice it every day, but it really changed the trajectory on my healing to be able to do that. Yeah, and you're talking about that. You're talking.
Absolutely. And when we are in a trauma state, remembering becomes a problem. Brain fog becomes a problem. So then we can't remember. So we're worried that we can't remember. So we try not to forget. So instead of waiting for the person to speak, we're blabbing to get our words in instead of trusting that the thought will come back. Bruce Lipton, I believe, was the man that you were speaking of earlier, perhaps?
No, this is a Dr. Bruce, somebody who wrote a book with Oprah.
Oh, okay.
And I just don't remember. I don't even remember the name of the book now. But it was he was he did this work, and he's a trauma. So Bruce Lipton, I don't know that he's so much a trauma guy. He's more into like cell biology and how that translates really into consciousness, which is super powerful and amazing work.
Oh,
Just not the same. I'll look it up on my phone here for a minute and see who.
see who it was. Well, and we have our favored authors because there is something within either the sound of their voice through the written word or the sound of their voice through the audible that resonates with us somehow. It's why I spent time in my life with Byron Katie. Katie and I were great friends. Katie was in my head. When I tried to work with The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, not quite the same. It was different, yet I stayed with it because I needed to understand why it was bothering me. And then when I discovered why it was bothering me, it wasn't bothering me anymore. His language was at a level that I didn't quite understand all the words. So in not being able to understand the words, I felt inferior.
Oh, well, that's a growing edge right there. Now, see, that was a lesson that he taught you.
Big lesson. Big
Wow,
lesson.
how powerful!
Yeah,
Yeah. So this
powerful.
was Dr. Bruce Perry, wrote a book with Oprah Winfrey called "What Happened to You: Conversations on Trauma, Resilience, and Healing." And he's a a trauma specialist, and he's the one that came in with this hierarchy
Oh,
piece. And you take what Dr. Gabor Mate and Bessel van der Kolk teach around the first part, which is trauma is not what happens to you, it's what happens inside of you because of what happens to you and because you're alone with the hurt. And you add Bruce Perry's that gives you a path. And I'm like, okay, I got it. I see the landscape now I'm working in, right?
yes,
Which
yes.
for me, it's helpful for me to have a reference point. Yeah.
Well, and that betrayal is such a big, 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 diverse path or tree of information. Because when we look at betrayal, I work often in the recovery field,
Mhm.
addiction and recovery.
Yeah,
So,
both of us.
when did I betray myself?
Mhm.
Who betrayed me? Who am I still betraying?
Mm.
It's a beautiful, beautiful relationship because we can go into our patterns of addiction in a way that we don't even see it until we're already stuffing our face full of licorice, or
Mhm.
whatever it happens to be, whatever is
Mhm.
soothing and numbing
Mhm.
the experience in here. uh,
Yeah.
right? You're all going to make me lose my mind up in here,
Well,
up in.
there it goes. There you're gonna make me, right? That's like, you know,
Yeah.
amazing. So this is why in the recovery space, yes, each of us has to do the inner work, but we don't do it alone,
Oh,
right? We
so
do
true.
it together so that we help each other with these things because we all have them and we all understand the mark that they leave, and a lot of us have found the way, the path, a path through.
Absolutely. And to have valuable resources as long as we go along the way is beautiful because
Mhm.
what worked for me 5 years ago may no longer work for me now.
Mhm.
I've had different bits of techniques. I still love tapping at times.
Mhm.
Tapping really helps me just like hone in on that number. What number am I feeling? Like, where is my aggravation at? So I've got
Hmm.
a set point, and
Hmm.
then I can come back to it. I use tarot cards.
Hmm. Mhm.
What's going on in my journey? I love tarot
Mhm.
cards. I love the story of the journey because when we're making a big decision in life and we want to try something new, we're risking being a fool. We're risking failure. But what is failure?
Well, a failure is a discovery. We've just made a discovery that whatever that was didn't work. That
Right?
there's another path,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such soft words, discovery. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that for me, yeah, I'm kind of gregarious and very curious. I had this like, oh my God, I came in with such curiosity, massive. So I'm like you. I'm always looking for what about this and what about that and how can this would this help and all the things. And it's been super helpful for me to maintain my meditation practice and the breath work and keep coming back to the present moment, kind of no matter what's happening. I have to discipline myself to do that every day, and to take, as you said, take time during the day to you know where am I? What's happening with my breath? Right. I know if my mind starts getting like
Oh,
jumpy and stuff, I know that my breath is doing that too. And all I have to do is like, oh, I've forgotten to breathe. I forgot how to breathe for a
and,
minute.
and
And
meditation is beautiful because we don't have to stop doing. We can start washing dishes.
Mhm,
The water on the hands,
mhm.
looking at the hands, feeling the bubbles,
That's right.
doing
Feeling
the
warm,
laundry,
all of
opening
it.
Sure.
Mhm.
Being grateful for the laundry that's going in.
Mhm.
Feeling the warmth of the towel while you're folding it. Oh, such a beautiful touch point, that physical touch point. I think that's why so often you see people when they're meditating using their hands in the different finger positions,
Mhm.
just to, okay, I am my thumb is me. I'm touching my thumb to my first finger, even though I can't remember what the hell that name of that finger is. I think it's a pointer finger. Oh, well, never stop.
I love that.
Breathe, right? I'm using my next finger, my middle finger, my favorite finger. Oh, I love the options that this finger gives me. My ring fingers. My pinky. Oh, this little piggy went to market. Oh, wait, no, don't go there. What are you going to buy at the market, right? It's fun. If you can bring fun into your practices,
Mhm.
then you're in that childlike space where
Mhm.
once you felt safe.
That's right. And when we learn to actually, when we spend enough time there and we learn that stillness is actually safe, as a lot of us, it represents the freeze response. So, um, when we're working with people with trauma, we don't want to put them in a be still, because we're mimicking the trauma response, right? So,
Yes.
so we, so once we get through that and we kind of rewire our behaviors a little bit, and we're well enough to sit still, then we can start having interesting experiences to see what kind of shows up in the field in
Yes.
terms of just being still. And I'll give you an example of something that happens to me at this time of year. I'm sitting just. I had a friend a teacher who said, breathe, do a breath practice, 4 breaths in, and 4 inhales, 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out, and um, and I'm like, what's the beat? What's the rhythm? What am I supposed to measure against? Like, there was no instruction there, and I'm literal, so I
Yeah, like, to the count of what? Do I inhale?
exactly. And I was like, like, you didn't tell me the thing. and, and,
Yes. Yes.
and I got over my upset, and I just got real still, and I heard my heartbeat, and I went, bingo, there it is. I'm gonna do it to that. So I started doing that particular kind of breath work to my heartbeat, and I was outside, and I go outside at this time of day or at this time of year, because I have access to. You'll get it once I tell you.
Okay.
And I'm just sitting quietly outside, listening to my heartbeat, and then my awareness expands into the frogs down at the pond, and the birds, and the insects, and the whatever is out there. And there's a lot, and because I'm in the country.
Mm.
And I start honing in on their rhythms. And then I'm noticing, after I'm honing in on their the rhythms the pulses that they're working with, they're all starting to sync together. And now my heartbeat's syncing to them. And so now we're all in this field pulsing together. And, that for me, that's bliss. I don't know what else to call that.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a result of the work I did to be able to sit still in
Mm-hmm.
silence. And I didn't expect any of that to happen. And I wouldn't encourage anybody to go out and try and make that happen, because it doesn't work like that.
No.
It comes to you. It's this thing that it just,
It
it's like that.
truly does. It truly does. I know that after one of my major traumas in my life, which was the death of my daughter, the sound of sirens, any kind of siren,
Mm-hmm.
that threw me for one big loop.
Mm-hmm.
The sound of a car crash. She was not in a car crash, but the sound of impact, all of those things. So for me, it was amalgamating the sound of, like, the silence. Silence was okay, until my mind started going squirrely. And then the busyness of the world was okay. So I had to learn to live in both worlds, the quiet
Mhm.
and the noise and everything in between. I've I'm in a rather quiet neighborhood in a city. So if I sit on my balcony, I get the birds are chirping, and then oh look, there's a siren, and
Mhm.
oh there's a child, and it's this beautiful orchestra, and then all of a sudden, bam, door slams. Huh.
Mhm.
Coming back to my breath, right? Like always coming
Mhm.
back to that. It's
Yeah.
truly transformative.
It's transformative. That's the word. Um, there's a practice in Kundalini yoga, um, within that practice called the Satnam Rasayan,
Mm.
and I can't teach it because I haven't had enough of the training, but I've had enough of the classes to be able to do the practice for myself.
Good.
And it's very powerful because of how we use the present moment. And the very first part of that learning Satnam Rasayan is sitting in stillness and allowing whatever is external, whatever the senses are picking up, allowing that to just be what it is and not reacting, like letting it move through. And I, the first time I took my first lesson, I'm sitting in a room with a bunch of yogis, and we're following the teacher's instructions, and I'm like, 5 minutes in, I'm like, I got this, and and a police car whoop, comes roaring down the road, and I with the siren, and I just like, wow, and I was like, okay, now I see where the challenge is.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I remember as a mom meditating, right? So I'm
my
like,
God.
and then I would just like, "Ah, I'm trying to meditate, like just, oh my God. And then to hear them, oh yeah, mom's trying to meditate, better shut up. I'm like, so many
Oh
years of
my God.
that.
So
And
I,
then learning to just listen to the beautiful sound of my family.
whatever, whatever it is, right? So I go home from that lesson, and I had just moved into a new apartment, and for 25 years, I'm used to living in the country, and at night I would hear the frogs and the howls and the
Mm.
nature. I go home to my apartment after this lesson, and I've got 4 heating and air conditioning units right outside that go to the whole building are right outside my bedroom window, right on the other side. And my bed's right up against it. It's just the way it is. And I'm laying down and I'm going like, how am I freaking going to get to sleep? Right. And, and I, because I could feel my resistance, right, to
Yeah.
the sound. It's not what I'm used to. It's not owls. It's not crickets. It's not peepers, right? It's this thing. And my judgment, right? And I went, aha, Satnam Rasayan, right? So I
Yes.
got to practice allowing
Getting into tune and rhythm with the air conditioning
that
unit.
moving through me instead of me having an argument with it. And it just, that was beautiful practice. And like you said at the beginning of this episode, isn't it interesting how the universe conspires to give you the lesson you need just in the moment? And I get home from Satnam Rasayan, I'm given the actual lesson I need.
It is. When I travel to visit my grandchildren, my granddaughters have sound therapy that they listen to while they sleep. They've got that,
Hmm.
I call it Satan's sound box, um, because it's that white noise. And I'm like, oh my God,
Oh, okay.
it's like a version of poltergeist, right? And I'm like, oh, don't go into the TV, right? And I'm like, okay, it's not fair for me to ask them to turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
How can I now incorporate that
Mm-hmm.
sound in the other room? And then sometimes my guy will come with me and he's moaning, groaning, grunting because he doesn't like that sound either. So he's tossing and turning. So I've got tossing and turning and sound. And it doesn't take me too long to adjust. And if I let go of, oh my God, I've been in this room for 43 minutes, let the time go. Let the time go because time can really be a burden. Yeah.
Yeah, what are we referencing? Right? Are
Mhm.
we referencing our three-dimensional beingness in time and space, or are we referencing the eternal beyond time and space, the witness of it all, right?
It's so interesting, right? Because if we start doing the math, logical, like you said, I've got 8 hours less 43 minutes to sleep,
Now we're into suffering.
right? And we do it. It's just it's this dance. And when we go into suffering, if the mind is suffering, the body is responding.
And sometimes it's the other way around. You know, the mind follows the breath. This is why when I know when I start getting jumpy in my mind during the day, like, what happened? Because when I can calm the breath, the mind calms. And I learned that by doing pranayama breath practices, directed breath practices, when I'm activated and dysregulated and seeing the results. So isn't that interesting? Can we get feedback in both directions?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. When I learned walking meditation, I, here Nance goes, let's try something different because I love yoga, and I wanted to try what are these Buddhist people doing? What's that
Mhm.
all about? And a friend of mine invited me. So we were doing the meditation, and I'm like, I got that. And then they're like, okay, so we're going to do walking meditation. I'm like, huh, how does that work? Well, I could slow down my breath. I could sit and walk slow. You insane. And what a beautiful journey. What a beautiful journey. Loved it. Loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's. Oh, I was just talking to a friend of mine. I've joined a group of 8. We're doing some intentional work here, and one of the people in the group has a farm, and they have an infinity sign
Mm.
trail that he walks. He's got a beautiful labyrinth, but he's made this big, huge infinity sign trail, and he was telling us that he's been walking and dancing that trail, that
Oh,
infinity sign lately. And he's learning, getting all kinds of downloads about infinity. So we're gonna go
yes.
do some work out there. We're gonna
Oh,
go
so much
out there and
fun.
have some experience. Um,
Patterns and shapes.
yeah. So
There,
walking meditation in that space, or
yeah.
you're becoming one with the space that you're in, wherever it is, whatever it is, and um, we kind of need, just because of Western orientation, we kind of need that meditation practice, the walking meditation practice, to allow us to actually be present to the more subtle energies around us.
Well, and then taking it to the next level where you're doing it with your shoes off. I've been
Exactly.
loving earthing. Oh my God, I've been loving earthing and
Mm-hmm.
the different textures of the earth. There's the dry, grassy prairie earth that I have here in Alberta. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I find the right forest and I get into the moss or the wet mud, oh, I love walking in wet mud. It's so much fun. And allowing myself little tricks to help me be okay. So, for example, bringing my muddy feet into my vehicle creates stress for me because then I have to clean it. And I don't want to have to clean it.
Mm-hmm.
Socks. I have a pair of socks. I throw them on over my dirty feet. Cool. A towel, a blanket, whatever it is that I can bring with me. What tools can I bring along my day to allow me that opportunity? A bottle of water to wash my feet. I mean, there's so
Mm-hmm.
many options.
Mm-hmm. Or fall in love with washing your car. There could be that.
I did have a gift card to get it detailed, and I do have another one on
There you go. There's that option too.
okay. But again, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to go, oh yeah, I know that one. My dad, oh boy, cars were pristine because he sold the cars quite often, or he showed the cars quite often. So I understand that, and that's his way of being. It's not mine. As long as it doesn't look like I've lived in my vehicle for 2 weeks, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. It's just dirt, and dirt dries, turns into.
Well, it's actually soil. Dirt's more like what's at the bottom of a taxi cab, the black greasy stuff. I'm sorry, I have a degree in plant science.
That is so true. Oh my God, that is so true. And and we can get caught up in so many things. I've worked with people throughout the years because I use Bach flower essences.
Uh-huh.
And I love Bach. I love, 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 love Bach. And I mean, again, same as you with the science. So I took the books that I had, 2, 3, 4, and instead of turning the pages all the time, I had little flippy charts on it, but that was, yeah. So I created a spreadsheet, created a series of spreadsheets. So all I have to do is like type a word in, but then I was able to memorize it a bit more. So the crab apple, that need to be that oh my God, I can't, my hands will get dirty, or my face will get dirty. I've got a pimple, I've got to squeeze at that pimple, like that pattern, that personality, because it's a crab apple personality, and it can go awry in one direction or the other direction, where you're like, you don't give two rats asses, and you're like, maybe a little bathing just to make yourself be able to sit with yourself, because you might start to just like, damn, what's that smell? Oh, it's me. So just to understand the personalities of humanity, and we've all got bits and pieces. That's the beauty of being a human being.
For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
For sure.
yeah. Not getting caught up in the science, not getting caught up in the metaphysical. So what I mean by metaphysical, going to monkey mind, is when it's the universe, and we can wait for the universe to bring us everything that we need. So we'll sit in the meditative position and wait and trust.
Well, that worries me a little bit. We
Exactly.
need to take action,
You need to
right?
take action. Exactly.
I mean, meditation is great for what it is, and we
And
need to take action. And hopefully, what we learn in meditation, we can take off the mat with us. The
exactly.
ability to be present.
What can you do to move yourself in the direction of your dreams? What are your dreams? What are your dreams?
You talk about that, and I'll share with you something I learned from Greg Braden, and you can look it up on YouTube. I think Greg Braden prayers, and he was talking to a friend of his who was an Indigenous American, I believe, and his friend says, I'm going to go make rain. You want to come with me? And he said, and Greg says, sure. So they walked to this place, and it's I think he described it as a sacred spot, right, marked somehow. And his friends stood there for, I don't know, 30 seconds or something, and then he said, okay, let's go. And Greg's like, what? I thought, and it starts raining. and just like, what just happened? Anyway, they get inside, and his friend says to Greg, after Greg says, what's happening here? Because Greg started out as a scientist. I mean, he's still a scientist, but he's got that science stuff. So what happened here, right? So his friend says, well, I imagined what it would feel like. So his prayer, he prayed for rain, and the way he did it was he imagined what it would feel like to feel the rain on his skin, to hear it hit the ground, what the air would smell like, all the ways that rain is. And that was his prayer. And I was like, oh my God. So that when people, I don't really understand manifesting as like something that I can make happen. I don't really see it like that. I do see it as a co-creative process with the forces around me.
Mhm.
And that I just described that's a beautiful way to ask, right? If I'm wanting help with something, can I imagine what it would be like to for that to already have happened? What would it feel like in my body? What would it smell like? What would it sound like? What would it look like? All that, like actually embodying the result.
Yes.
That's as close as I get to. Man, I just thought that was the coolest prayer.
And it's so accurate in what you're saying, because when we are acting as if it is happening, because we're envisioning that, like you said, what would it feel like? What would it look like? And then acting as if it's there, out there, waiting for us to connect with it, without when you imagine the feelings of it, the lookings of it, instead of saying, okay, person A is going to meet person B, and A is going to do this and B is going to do that. Then we start controlling something that can't be controlled.
Yeah. Also, we're not attached to an outcome in that vision.
That's right.
That would be the other little important bit there.
Yes.
So we've got this allowing, envisioning, and not trying to push the universe, because that's going to push back one way or another.
Absolutely. Like for me, I've got a beautiful event coming up whereby I'm looking forward to spending time with family.
Awesome.
We are all going to be gathered at a wedding.
Wonderful.
And I'm preparing. I'm preparing for it. I'm making sure that I have all the supplies that I need. I have a dress. I have 2 dresses. That's how I roll. I often roll with food coming off of my hot dog onto the front of my dress. Therefore, I bring 2 dresses.
I hear you.
That's just the way I am. So I'll be, oh my God, look at that. And I'm like, oh, wait, sorry. And I like that about me. I don't want to change that. Therefore, I have, and because I had such a large family, I love to cook. Therefore, I've already started preparing my beans for my chili. Lovely. It is in the act of doing. You are so right about that. If we sit and wait for life to happen to us, then we become victims.
Yeah. Well, then we're going to be suffering again, right? We're trying this whole the conversation has been, how do we find our way out of suffering?
Yes. Yes. Because when we go through trauma, at times we don't have the ability to resolve it at that time. And then it's in the next moments that come that the offering to resolve comes, like you said, that honking horn during meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, I am so appreciative of your time today. This was just wonderful. I am going to tidy up my workspace and prepare for a picnic, because I'm going on a picnic today.
Lovely.
So, meeting with a dear friend, and I have my list of things to do, and we have to decide where we're going to meet, because saying that we're going to meet at a park is a little bit vague.
Oh, if you said that here, I'd be like, exactly where? Because we got parks all over the place.
Exactly. So we have to come.
You're in the city. You've got parks all over the place too.
Yeah.
Green space.
And so much green space. So much.
You'll enjoy the day. My goodness,
will.
it's going to be perfect weather here in Alberta.
Oh, blue skies, slight breeze, green trees.
Yeah. Yay.
It's a good day. It's a good day. It's a very good day.
Wonderful. So this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
You are welcome. I look forward to future opportunities.
Very good. Take care, Naz.
Thanks.